in the vast sun-scorched plains of the American Southwest, where the wind whispered secrets through the mesquite trees, and the distant mountains stood like silent sentinels, a man named Elias Thorne inherited a dilapidated ranch from his errant uncle, a place forgotten by time and shunned by locals, for reasons shrouded in mystery. Elias, a hardened veteran of the Civil War with scars etched deep into his soul and a limp from a Confederate bullet, arrived on horseback one dusty afternoon in 172, his eyes scanning the broken fences, the sagging barn, and the weathered ranch house that leaned precariously against relentless elements, its paint peeled away like old skin, revealing the rot beneath. He had no illusions about easy fortunes. Life had taught him that inheritance often came laced with curses. But with his savings depleted, and no family to call his own, this was his last chance at carving out a piece of the frontier. As he dismounted and tethered his horse to a crooked post, the air hung heavy with an unnatural stillness, broken only by the creak of the windmill spinning lazily in the breeze, its blades rusted and protesting with each turn. Elias pushed open the creaky door of the house, the hinges groaning like the wails of ghosts, and stepped into the dim interior where dust motes danced in the slivers of light piercing through boarded-up windows, the floorboards sagging under his boots as if the earth itself wanted to swallow place whole. He explored room by room, finding remnants of a life abandoned, faded photographs of stern-faced men on the mantel, a Bible with yellowed pages open to revelations, and kitchen utensils scattered as if in haste. But it was in the attic, accessed by a rickety ladder hidden behind a false wall. The true horror awaited him, a discovery that would unravel the threads of his sanity, and plunge him into a web of vengeance and ancient grudges. Climbing up with a lantern in hand, the flame-flickering shadows across the beams, Elias's heart, pounded as a foul stench, assaulted his nostrils. A mix of decay and something metallic, like blood long dried. There, hanging from the rafters, like macabre pendants, were the bodies of 8 young Apache women, their necks twisted at unnatural angles, ropes frayed but unyielding, their traditional deerskin dresses torn and stained, eyes wide in eternal terror, and around their necks crude nuis fashioned from ranchers' hemp swaying gently in the draft seeping through the cracks. Elias staggered back while rising in his throat, his mind reeling from the sight of these girls, no older than 20, their dark hair matted with blood, faces painted in faint war markings that spoke of defiance even in death. And he wondered what abomination had transpired here, what dark ritual or act of cruelty had led to this mass hanging in the secrecy of the attic. Dropping to his knees, he noticed carvings on the wooden beams above them. Apache symbols etched with a knife, perhaps in their final moments. Symbols that he vaguely recognized from his time scouting during the war as pleas for justice or curses upon their killers. The ranch, he realized, was not just broken in structure, but cursed by blood. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the land, Elias vowed to uncover the truth. Little knowing that this inheritance would drag him into a storm of Apache retribution, outlaw ambushes, and buried secrets from the gold rush era. That night, as coyotes howled in the distance, Elias barricaded himself in the main room, rifle at the ready, his sleep haunted by visions of the hanging girls, their spectral forms whispering in a language he couldn't understand, but felt in his bones, urging him to seek vengeance. The next morning, with the first light painting the sky in hues of crimson, he buried the bodies in a shallow grave behind the barn, marking it with stones in a rough approximation of respect. Though he knew no Christian rite could appease the spirits of these Apache daughters, likely stolen from their tribe during one of the brutal raids that plagued the territory. Word of his arrival had spread to the nearby town of Dust Creek. A ramshackle collection of saloons, a general store, and a sheriff's office where men with handlebar mustaches and 6-shooters on their hips eyed strangers with suspicion. And when Elias rode in for supplies, the barkeep, a grizzled old-timer named Hank with a missing eye from a bar fight, leaned in close over a whiskey pour and muttered warnings about the ranch's dark history. "Your Uncle Jedediah," Hank said, his voice low and growly, "was no saint. He tangled with the Apache back in '65 after the war when prospectors flooded the hills looking for gold, and rumors swirled that he rustled cattle from tribal lands, kidnapped women to work the fields or worse, and one night after a raid gone wrong, he strung up those girls as a message, or maybe to cover his tracks from something fouler." Elias's blood ran cold at the tale, but he pressed for more, learning that Jedediah had vanished months ago, presumed dead in the desert, his body never found, and the ranch left to rot until the will surfaced, naming Elias as heir. Skeptical but unsettled, Elias returned to the ranch only to find signs of intrusion. Fresh boot prints in the dirt, a window pried open. And that evening, as thunder rumbled over the mountains, heralding a rare storm, he heard footsteps on the porch, soft and deliberate like ghosts materializing from the ether. Grabbing his Colt revolver, he flung open the door to confront a shadowy figure, but it vanished into the night, leaving behind a feather adorned with beads, an Apache token that confirmed his fears. The tribe knew of the atrocity, and perhaps watched him now, mistaking him for a continuation of his uncle's sins. Days blurred into a tense vigil as Elias repaired the fences by day, his hands blistering under the sun, and fortified the house by night, nailing boards over windows, and setting traps with wire and bells, all while piecing together clues from Jedediah's hidden journal stashed in a locked chest. Under the floorboards, yellowed pages filled with rambling entries about gold strikes, betrayed partners, and a fateful night when Apache warriors ambushed his camp, only for him to turn the tables with hired guns, capturing the women as spoils. The journal spoke of interrogations in the attic, accusations of witchcraft or spying, and a decision born of paranoia to silence them forever, their bodies left as a warning to any who might seek revenge. Elias, horrified yet compelled, realized the ranch sat on land sacred to